If you're anything like me, you're vitally interested in health, being healthy, getting healthy, and staying healthy. And if you're anything like me, you sometimes read a lot of articles and consult a lot of experts about how to do that, and sometimes end up with your head in a muddle. Well, today I want to introduce you to a body of wisdom about health that I believe is simple, clear, sensible, and easy to follow, and that is Irish traditional ideas about health. I also want to introduce you to the Cailleach. Sometimes we translate her name as the Hag. The Cailleach is considered to be the longest living person in Ireland, and I would say she's also considered to be something of an expert on flourishing. So we'd do well to listen to her. So if you're interested in health, being healthy, feeling good, today is for you. So Fáilte a Chairde, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I love being with you. My name is Kate and I'm a professor of Irish language and folklore. And I'm also, like everyone here, a multi-passionate creator. I love making things. And I love the way these two things come together, Irish tradition and creativity. So health. Let's say right at the beginning that Irish tradition makes no bones about it, that health is the foundation of a good life. So we have proverbs, and I'm going to share with you a lot of proverbs today. Is fearr an tlainse ná na tainse. So health is better than wealth. We know that. Literally that proverb means health is better than herds. So is fearr an tlainse ná na tainse. Health is better than herds. Sí an tlainse an tóid is fearr ar dóin. Health is the most valuable treasure in the world. And surely it is. And finally, tor aire don tlainse no bí a thuairse. Give attention, take care of your health, or you'll be without it. So that's where we start, is just remembering how important it is. I think sometimes we're wooed by the world to think other things are more vital, but when we fall sick or something happens, that's when we realize, no, that is number one. So you'll be surprised by this next kind of subcategory. The Irish tradition believes that appetite for food is really a way of saying appetite for life. So your desire to eat and fill yourself up is a desire to be alive. So is fearr a bheith a lorg bia ná a bheith a lorg goille. It's better to be seeking food than to be seeking an appetite. If you don't have an appetite, something is very wrong. If you do have an appetite, it's a problem you can solve. And tortas dé goille falain. It's a gift from God is a healthy appetite. So we, I think, often think appetite is a kind of problem to be solved. Not the Irish. Now, of course, we're living in different times, and a lot of these proverbs that I'm sharing today really, at least the early 20th century, definitely the 19th century, we're looking at a time where people didn't always have security around food, of course. Nevertheless, I think they're onto something. I think there's something important about saying that a healthy appetite for food is a healthy appetite for life. If you don't have an appetite, things aren't going well. Now, the next sort of real pillar is sleep. Sleep is the foundation of health, and tosach sláinte cailleach. The beginning of health is sleep. Now, I want to tell you that I've been prioritizing sleep since the beginning of this year, and I feel like a new person. It's so easy to think one more thing. I'll do one more thing before bed. I'm so excited about doing things, but I'm training myself to go to bed and have 7 to 8.5 hours of sleep, and everything is better. Everything is better. So tosach sláinte cailleach, the beginning of health is sleep. Now, another thing that is kind of surprising is the idea that your feet are a good diagnostic for your overall health. And I think that's interesting. Sometimes we say now that the teeth are, but the Irish said that sláinte an duine sa chasa, the health of a person is in his feet. Now, that, of course, needs to be qualified a little bit because we're also talking about times where Irish people did not always have shoes or didn't wear shoes every day to keep the shoes good for going to church or for holidays. So often people's feet were cold and sometimes wet. There was also a folk belief that a man catches a cold through the soles of his feet, while a woman catches a cold through the top of her head. So, and we'll come back to this when we talk about the Cailleach. I think taking care of our feet is foundational. You know what it's like. You know, if something isn't right with your shoes, the kind of day you have, it's terrible. So there we have another practical thing is go to sleep and take care of your feet. Getting healthy, returning to health. This one I just love. Ante nach leisen im na ishkeba Neil lice air. So the person who can't be cured with butter or whiskey, there's no cure for him. And that's funny, but it's also, I think, kind of truthful. If you think that butter is sort of the flavor, the savor of food, and whiskey would be called maybe tau gakti, rau gakti, the choice or the best of every kind of drink. So again, if you can't be cured with the pleasures of life, there's really no cure. Like if you can't be wooed back into a full participation in life, there's a real problem here. But also, I should say, and maybe we'll talk again about butter sometime, and maybe we'll talk about whiskey. These are actually two important ingredients in folk cures. So we can take that on a couple different levels. So the person who can't be cured with butter or whiskey, there's no help for him. This I love. Now I want to show you a book. This proverb comes out of this book, Shanakol Namuan an Shauk. So this is a book of proverbs, and it means the Proverbs of Munster, and Munster is in the south part of Ireland. It's the province that is the very southern province of Ireland. And an Shauk is the nom de plume of the man who gathered these proverbs and published them in 1926. It's an amazing collection. So here's one from him. Nan toga hoime is kapog a leishme. Nettle burned me and dock leaf cured me. Now this is interesting on so many levels. First of all, nettle, if you've ever actually been touched by a nettle, it does actually leave a kind of burn on your skin. Here's the amazing thing, is that nettle often grows very close to dock leaf. And if you rub dock leaf on the burn from the nettle, you'll actually take the sting out of it. Now, that proverb, that literally is the truth, that nettle burned me and dock leaf cured me. But it's also, I think, pointing to a bigger truth, that right next to the thing that is hurting us is its cure. And I take that metaphorically and, and literally. So often, if we will just look a little bit to the side, we'll see that what we need to actually solve this problem or to help us in our health is right there. So if just try to keep in mind the nettle and the dock leaf and what a beautiful design there that is, that they should grow so close together. Here's another one from an Shauk, and I should say his name an Shauk, his pen name means the hawk. Radrian galar nahihe. 2/3 of illness is in the night. And so meaning that things are worse, I want to read to you. He says, Veich chinnis na galar raur nis masa ishtiche na no maraveich salah. So illness is 2 times worse at night than it is in the day. So we've heard that before, the idea that if you can get through the night, the illness will lessen. So get through the worst of it and things will be better. Now, finally, out of all of this, there's a great respect for the power of a light heart. I always come back to this one, which is Myron Cri Atrum Iwad. A light heart lives a long time. There's a connection, of course, we know more and more about mind-body health. And it can go either way. Here's one, Bíonn intin olain I gcomharb fálainn. So a healthy body means a healthy mind. And I suppose we could really say both. If like working on health in either direction, your mental health will help your physical health. Working on your physical health will help your mental health. So I love that. Another one that I really love as a cure, Gaire mai is colú fada and da lais is far I leor an doctora. Gaire mai is colú fada and da lais is far an leor an doctora. A good laugh and a long sleep are the two best cures in the doctor's book. So again, let's remember, so as we remember how important health is, as we attend to our feet, as we encourage our appetite in healthy ways, as we make sure that we sleep, as we think about health and cures and restoration in good ways, let's also remember the power of laughter, the power of good times, the power of friendship, the power of the light heart. So all of those together, I think, you know, the Irish know something important about health. They had to. And, you know, there wasn't access to doctors or the medical establishment really for most people until the late 19th century. There were local wise men and women who could help with curing, but a lot of the care of health came down to the family and the individual. And so these kind of common sense ideas, I think, are gold. Now, I want to tell you about the Cailleach. The Cailleach, as I mentioned, is considered to be the oldest and longest living person in Ireland. Some say she's still there today. And she has a body of wisdom, and I want to share with you some of this. So some of it comes from Sean O'Connell, the great storyteller. Some of it is gathered elsewhere. I'm just going to read you these pieces. So here's three. The top of her head never saw the air. Her sole, the sole of her foot, never touched the ground. And she never carried mud on her feet from one place to another. Now, to me, that says respect the body's needs for warmth and cleanliness. And to put a fine point on it, wear a hat if it's cold. Make sure your feet are warm. Simple things. Do you remember being young? I do, where we didn't want to wear a hat because we didn't want to mess up our hair. Luckily, that's all over for me now. I wear a hat in the house if it's cold. So respecting the body's needs, I love that. Two more from her. She never stayed in bed after waking, and she never ate except she was hungry. She waited for her appetite. And to me, those are two things, are letting the body tell you what it needs, taking your cues from your physical self. Get out of bed. You're not tired anymore. You're done sleeping. You've had enough sleeping. And you're done eating. Don't eat until you're really hungry, until you're ready to eat. Cultivate that appetite. And finally, she never threw out the dirty water until she brought in the clean water. And to me, that is create a healthful atmosphere for living. So I hope that's helpful. I do want to say I am teaching a class all about the Cailleach. It's called the Cailleach Conspiracy, and it's happening at the end of January and into February. And I'd love it if you'd come. If you're interested, I'll put a link in the notes below. And also, I have a special code for you. If you put in the code HEALTHY, you'll get a little special prize on the tuition. I would love to have you join us. There's so much goodness to be learned from the Cailleach. She's sort of our great elder teacher. So finally, I want to leave you with just a couple of healthy blessings. I often say to anybody, Sláinte an bhrádain agat, which is the health of the salmon to you. And then an addendum, which I found actually in an seoc, is Crí folainn agus gob fluch. And that means a healthy heart and a wet snout, meaning that you've taken a drink. And again, that could be a cup of tea, but probably a drink in company. And finally, this you can say when you are blessing somebody after they sneeze, but I think it's a good one for all of us, which is tar idlancha, which literally means come into your health. When you say I've gotten better, you can say Chactarash hugathin, Tasulgum, Gometu a Chactarash hugathin. I hope that you'll be coming back to yourself. So to come to yourself, Tarid Lancha, come into your health, is to like literally come back to yourself, come back into your well-being. And that is what I wish always, my friends, for every one of you. Thank you again, always, for being here. Thank you for your comments. Please do like the video. It encourages me enormously. And please do, if you haven't, subscribe. I'd love to have you in our little community. It's a warm, loving, lovely community of people. So I am wishing you a healthy week, everyone, and I'll be so glad to see you next week.